All right, since we're talking about this specific two words, right? Since we're talking about comfort zone, are the people, again, you're leaving, so I don't want to get you on the spot. Raza, you're going to be here, and we're going to be here for a very, very long time, and you're going to come back too. The people that both of you guys have met, who you've known for the longest time, people in power, people who actually push the pen to make things happen. I'm talking about policies, I'm talking about thousands of different things. People who push the pen, like I'm going to emphasize that again. How worried are they? I'm going to use the word worry. How worried are they for the future of our country? Razdai, why don't you give it a shot?
Interesting question. I think actually individually everybody is worried. That's what I believe. I think this is a very classic Nepali thing. Individually we are all very fantastic. Collectively we are a shit show, really. And I think that comes because of extraneous factors that, the environment is just not there. Conducive environment, the legal system, the policy system, the implementation system, the control mechanisms, the corruption control mechanisms and everything are just not conducive for that individual action, individual interest to really come out. Yeah? So I think if you talk to any individual person who's in power and you talk to them, one-on-one, and you just have off the record, if you like, and start talking to them, everybody knows the solutions. They know what needs to be done. They're really concerned about the future of this country. They're really passionate about the country. But, get them into the public space and see what they do, and then they realize they can't do it. In public space, when you question, of course, there'll be more diplomatic answers. But, I think the crux of the matter is that the conducive environment is just not right. And it's just slowly happening, probably, in this country. If I look over the last 30, 35 years that I've been consciously thinking about this country, another country. So if you look at it from that perspective, and like Mr. Abdullah said, we are changing. There's no doubt about it. Nepal has improved. There's ample evidence of that. If you look at the health systems, if you look at the education systems, what was it 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and what is it now? It's like huge differences. Speed, huge problem. And the speed comes because people who are pushing the pen, cannot do it or are not willing to do it because of the conducive environment not being there. I think that is the crux of the matter. And there, of course, partly it's also due to some part of that chain not having the capacity to do that, not having the experience or the capacity to actually do it. Because we've just been sitting on it and it's like rusting and it's not modernizing, it's not taken up, I think there's a multiple of factors, but essentially to answer your question, I think everybody is concerned, but collectively we can't seem to manage to move ahead.
Everybody is not getting along. Is that what you're trying to go ahead and emphasize on?
That's usually true for most countries. People don't get along. People have their own opinions. But the conducive environment forces people to move in a particular direction, generally. In every country. If you look at any advanced country, it's the same. People actually will not agree, but the system actually forces it to move in a positive direction, right?
So
our system doesn't.
So let's go back and talk about Dubai, for example, right? If the river really wants to go ahead and move forward, then the river is going to go ahead and break everything, left, right, center, and definitely going to go ahead and flow downstream. It's going to create its own path, right? Just giving an example. Look at Dubai, for example, going back to Dubai. 30 years ago, it was desert. 35 years ago, when you look at a picture of Dubai. And now look at Dubai and how they've excelled. Again, a lot of people are going to talk about oil. A lot of people are going to talk about the Middle East having abundant amount of dollars to go ahead and make that happen. But they did it.
No, it's just one. It's like having a one set mind that just goes forward in a particular direction. Now, you can debate about Dubai being a positive direction or a negative direction, but it's a movement, right? And that's what we have to look at. I will argue that Dubai is not the best place in the world because of its environmental impact and stuff like that. But that's a different part, And there are many countries who work like that. Bhutan does it. I think even Myanmar is doing it in a particular direction. They digress from time to time, but there is singularity in their thinking, and the thinking singularity is kind of important in countries that are moving ahead, right? And here what happens is that we are very good at mixing everything up and getting really confused. Okay? Having said that, Nepal has got a lot of positives.
Of course,
right?
of course.
So
No,
we
no
cannot
doubt.
dwell on that and just say, I mean, we're all down. I mean, I like to be positive, and I see the movement that Nepal has made from where we are, from a education standpoint, from a money standpoint, from everything standpoint, from a government standpoint, for example, right? We're a new country just lifting its head up from, changing systems. We're an old country. We had a lot of things going for us, but we decided to make a change in 2006. In 1995, we decided to make a change by going into civil war. And then in 2006, we made a change by taking out monarchy, writing a new constitution,
Yeah.
and moving ahead. And if you look at the span of time in which we managed to do that, right? If you look at countries which went into civil war, from day one to day two, not having any arms, is only country will be Nepal.
Yeah. When you think about it, when
Yeah,
we sat
everybody
down and
dropped the
signed, yeah.
arms, and there was no baggage. I mean, we've got Biplav and all, but they're not armed. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's just little nuisance matre. Okay, and at the end of the day, when you think about the whole scale of development, right? I mean, but that has never happened in the world. And writing a constitution and moving 8 years down the line, doing elections, dividing the country into a federal state, and then moving ahead with its own problems, with the problems that we had, moving ahead into a new system. Yeah, many countries cannot achieve that, and we have actually done it.
No doubt on that. I'm not denying that at all. Again, I'm looking at all the positives. But when I go ahead and see a news of a person who is in power, who is probably going to go ahead and lead a certain organization in this country, which is definitely going to go ahead and change the course for this country and tourism. I'm just talking about tourism. And then when I see that person having X amount of money in his car and getting caught and making deals on the side, then you kind of feel like, okay, and somebody being, highly decorated, for example, then you're like, then you sit down and think, all right, okay, so how far are we going to go ahead and get in this terms? You kind of getting me what I'm trying to go ahead and say in this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But if you look at the scale of time, मलाई चाहिँ कस्तो लाग्छ भन्दाखेरि these are hiccups. We have to bear because of the environment we are in. There's nothing we can do about it except look at the slight change that might come. And it looks like changes are coming.
If you love what we are doing, make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications.
This program is brought to you by Vyas Studios.
Thank you very much for watching us on YouTube. Make sure that you also listen to us on Spotify.